Hi, good morning. We're going to do our next two chapters of Wonder by R.J. Palacio. The next two chapters are called After School and The Padawan Bites the Dust. I hear we're driving you home today. It was Miranda in 8th period. She had just sat down at the desk right behind me. I'd forgotten that Mom had called Miranda's mother the night before to ask if she could drive me home from school. You don't have to, I answered instinctively, casually. My mom can pick me up. I thought she had to pick Augie up or something. It turns out she can pick me up afterward. She just texted me. Not a problem. Oh, okay, thanks. It was all a lie on my part, but I couldn't see sitting in a car with the new Miranda after school. I ducked into a restroom to avoid bumping into Miranda's mother outside. Half an hour later, I walked out of the school, ran 3 blocks to the bus stop. I hopped on the M86 to Central Park West, then took the subway home. Hey there, sweetie, Mom said the moment I stepped through the front door. How was your first day? I was starting to wonder where you guys were. We stopped for pizza. Incredibly how easy a lie can slip through your lips. Is Miranda not with you? She seemed surprised that Miranda wasn't right behind me. She went straight home. We have a lot of homework. On your first day? Yes, on her first day, I yelled, which completely surprised Mom. But before she could say anything, I said, school was fine. It's really big, though. The kids seemed nice. I wanted to give her enough information so she wouldn't feel the need to ask me more. How was Augie's first day of school? Mom hesitated, her eyebrows still high on her forehead from when I'd snapped at her a second earlier. Okay, she said slowly, like she was letting out a breath. What do you mean, okay? I said, was it good or bad? He said it was good. So why do you think it wasn't good? I didn't say it wasn't good. Geez, Via, what's up with you? Just forget I asked anything at all. I answered and stormed dramatically into Augie's room and slammed the door. He was on his PlayStation and didn't even look up. I hated how zombified his video games made him. So how was school? I said, scooching Daisy over so I could sit on his bed next to him. Fine, he said, still not looking up from his game. Augie, I'm telling you. I pulled the PlayStation out of his hands. Hey, he said angrily. How was school? I said fine, he yelled back, grabbing the PlayStation back from me. Were people nice to you? Yes, no one was mean. He put the PlayStation down and looked up at me as if I had just asked the dumbest question in the world. Why would people be mean, he said. It was the first time in his life that I heard him sarcastic like that. I didn't think he had it in him. The next chapter. The Padawan Bites the Dust. I'm not sure what point that night I'm not sure at what point that night Augie had cut off his Padawan braid, or why that made me feel really mad. I had always found his obsession with everything Star Wars kind of geeky, and that braiding his hair with its little beads was just awful. But he had also been so proud of it, of how long it took him to grow it, or how he had chosen the beads himself in a craft store in Soho. He and Christopher, his best friend, used to play with the lightsabers and Star Wars stuff whenever they got together, and they had started growing their braids at the same time. When August cut his braid off that night without an explanation, without telling me beforehand, which was surprising, or even calling Christopher, I was just so upset I can't even explain why. I've seen Augie brushing his hair in the bathroom mirror. He meticulously tries to get every hair in place. He tilts his head to look at himself from different angles. There's like some magic perspective inside the mirror that could change the dimensions of his face. Mom knocked on my door after dinner. She looked drained, and I realized that between me and Augie today had been a tough day for her, too. So, you want to tell me what's up? She asked nicely, softly. Maybe later. I'd be after telling Mom about Miranda, but not now. I'll check on you before you go to bed, she said, and then she came over and kissed me on top of my head. Can Daisy sleep with me tonight? Sure, I'll bring her in later. Don't forget to come back, I said as she laughed. I promise. But she didn't come back that night. Dad did. He told me Augie had a bad first day and Mom was helping him through it. He asked me how my day had gone and I told him fine. He said he didn't believe me for a second and I told him Miranda and Ella were acting like jerks. I didn't mention how I took the subway home by myself though. He said nothing, test friendship like high school. And then he proceeded to poke fun at the fact I was reading War and Peace. Not real fun, of course, since I've heard him brag to people that he had a 15-year-old who was reading Tolstoy. But he liked to rib me about where I was in the book, in the war part or in the peace part, and if there was anything about Napoleon's days as a hip-hop dancer. It was really silly stuff, but Dad always managed to make everyone laugh, and sometimes that's all you need to feel better. Don't be mad at Mom, he said as he bent down to give me a goodnight kiss. You know how much she worries about Augie. I know, I acknowledged. Want the light on or off? It's kind of getting late, he said, pausing the light switch at the door. Can you bring Daisy to me first? 2 seconds later, he came back with Daisy dangling in his arms, and he lay her on the bed next to me on the bed. Good night, sweetheart, he said, kissing my forehead. He kissed Daisy on her forehead, too. Good night, girlie. Sweet dreams.